Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of the Wish You Were a Beer Show. Thank you so much for stopping by and joining us. This is a show we do every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We live stream it for you to make fun of us, so you should enjoy it. You should make fun of us at every chance you get.
Grab a beer so it's even more fun.
But if this is your first time here or your thousandth time here, as always, thank you so much for stopping by. Thousandth is a word.
Oh, no, I just thought like we have that many episodes.
We're getting there. We're getting there. But if you'll do us a favor, like we ask every week, and I know it gets redundant, and I know it gets influency and internet-y and all the things that suck about this world, but if you could like and subscribe to this page, that would be great. If you can come hit us up on all of our social medias and come find us everywhere that we post content, it really does help the show. It really does give us a leg to stand on so that as we bring these breweries in, we look like a legitimate place where they can come and be in the forefront of things. So please like and subscribe.
Make us look cool.
Yeah, make us look cool because you see this show every week, so you know we're not cool.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
So
helps.
Website's at the top of the page. Go there, visit us there, check out our merch store, buy something if you're so willing and able to. All our social media is down at the bottom of the page. Find us anywhere you can get us. Make sure you follow us on Untapped, which is where we check in all of our beers. We're going to cut this intro shit really short because we do have a guest on the show tonight. And I want to make sure that we get to that sooner rather than later. So, and Charlie, our dog, is happy to be here tonight. And
happy to be here.
For some reason, after 100 episodes, very interested in the microphone, the computer.
Knocking things
this
over.
First time noticing.
Right. I was like, good Lord.
Charles, what do you need?
That being said, Dave, always great when you stop by and say hello.
Good to have Dave
sure
back.
You're working, and I love the back and forth. Dave, Vero.
Hey,
Andrew, happy to see you. It's not Friday Eve. It's actually Friday Junior is the common term for that.
Is that like the Gen Z thing?
Yeah, that's what the cool kids are doing. That being said, I'm Daniel. This is Tiffany. That beautiful bearded man is Phil. Phil, you doing okay? Staying out of trouble. You're not dead, obviously, so that's good.
No, that's a positive. I mean, I might be. And if I am, this is hell. So.
St. Martin. So I don't know if you follow Phil individually on Instagram, but yeah, Phil is living in hell.
/ St. Martin.
Maybe keep up with it. It's a blast.
Yeah, I mean, the temperature here kind of is a little helly. So, and then something happened to this Corona, and I don't know what. I don't know if you saw me take a sip.
I did see you pour it.
Holy, something is not right about it. I don't know what happened to it.
Like it's funky.
It's like not good. I'm going to keep drinking it to really figure it out, though.
Okay.
Oh, my sweet Gabriel. We missed you last week, but I'm glad you're back.
I can't tell if it's the beer or it was like whatever I was eating before the show or like something's wrong. It just, the first hit real weird. It could also be that they were handing these out free on the street.
Ugh.
Could also be that.
And you took one?
It was like an event.
Bill, you're gonna you've been roofied.
There's like a Corona girl like with a basket of Coronas like hanging them out. Like who doesn't take a free beer off the street?
I give you a hint. It's me. And I take a lot of beers.
At an event?
I don't know, even still, man.
The event was I was walking down the street.
Right. And see that's where you went wrong. Because beer events, yes, you purchase a ticket, they hand you a beer tasting glass and say, good luck out there, soldier.
Look, when you're in the Caribbean, you see a beer, you take a beer. That's how it works.
Fair.
But this one's going over here.
I'm glad you're living in the hellhole that hands out free beers on your walking event.
Yeah.
Sounds awful.
Sorry, I just came from the beach.
Yeah.
I'll take that free beer.
Dave, I've seen your beer in front show. I know you'd take a free beer, sir, and I'm proud of you every time. All right, so I want to bypass some of the front end of things because we do have a guest with us tonight, and he's working on a tight time frame due to a parking situation, which sounds so dramatic, and it's not dramatic at all.
It is dramatic.
It makes total sense when you know he's in New York.
Oh, 100%. Especially when he said, like, I'm not in New York anymore, but I'm in New York, and I have a parking situation. Me and Phil both were like, please, sir, Anytime, we understand.
We understand it. I have a feeling mid-show he's going to get up and run out.
I got to feed the meter. Feed the meter. Now, I'm excited for this show because we saw this beer come around a while back ago with another beer show. And Van was actually on that show, and we got a chance to watch it. So none of us have had this beer, even though we saw that show and we were very interested in it. So it's going to be fun. We are actually doing Rupee from Rupee Brewing, which is, it's a lager, but it's made to pair well with Indian food, and we'll find out why and where that comes from accordingly. If Phil came prepared, Tiffany and I will just drink beer.
I really failed. I was like, I'm going to get Uber Eats. I'm going to get it delivered.
Don't worry, though. I will mute myself while chewing because I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
No, yeah.
That's the only fun part.
And that was kind of where we were like, do we want to eat live on camera?
I will be a bearded man eating in front of a live audience. This sounds like a terrible idea.
There's whole YouTubes for this, Phil. You could spin off your own channel.
This is either gonna make our show take off, or they're going to take off our show.
Yeah, some people are boobs and beer. We just eat with beer. Yeah, well done, sir.
I'm excited though. I got some spicy butter chicken, some rice, and some garlic naan. And you guys know, and I'm gonna obviously. But I'm a big can art person.
Sure.
And I'm a big fan and a big rule follower here where if you're going to say it, then you're going to, wait a second. Doesn't it say on here? Yes. I think it says you're supposed to eat it with Indian food.
Correct. Well, you can't.
Especially crafted for Indian and spicy cuisine. There it is. I knew it was on here somewhere. I found it.
Okay. But Phil, you do know you're eating the food, but drinking the beer, right?
No, I'm eating the beer, drinking the food.
Yeah, that's some AI.
That's some AI garbage.
That's the pizza.
But it literally says on here that it's made to do this with. So you know my rules. If you throw it on a can, you better be telling me the truth.
100%.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
Andrew says, I have some oatmeal. I'll sprinkle some curry on it. All right. We're getting there. Now, I'm excited for this beer, and I'm excited that Van was able to join us, and we'll get with him in just a second. But I assume that Phil went to the brewery. He took amazing pictures. Oh, yeah. He traveled from St. Martin to there, set a whole video shoot up. I can't wait to see it.
The travel budget is wild on this show.
Travel budget is wild on this show.
All right.
Kudos to Google, who sponsors our travel budget.
Hopefully these are actual pictures. Because we don't ask in advance. All right.
Let's see it.
Here's a video when we get back. Van, you'll be on the show with us.
I was like, Van already fed the meter.
No, that was a few minutes ago.
How you doing, bud?
How's it going? And to add to the story about the meter, it's also a rental car in Manhattan as well, in Union Square. So it just adds to the layers of complexity.
Good Lord, Union Square. Good luck, man. God.
Yeah, you only get 5-minute meters there, I think. So you got to run off a lot.
It's a bizarre day, but we made some time for you guys. We wanted to be here.
I really appreciate that. In all honesty, it always means a lot because most of the breweries that we talk to, I mean, you guys are rocking and rolling. You're trying to create a brand and push a brand and further a brand. So to spare 20, 30 minutes at any given time, big fan. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you. We
big fan.
So, see what Phil did there? He's a big fan. Really impressive.
Oh, okay, guys.
I'll see myself out.
What we lack in timing, we make up for in. So now you're in Manhattan currently, but obviously you're not there.
Yeah, so I mean, because of beer, we're traveling a lot these days. I think you folks are in Virginia, you said. Phil, you're in the Caribbean, coming to that Caribbean soon. We've been in Virginia, so we're in the DMV quite a bit, doing various events, functions, etc. The DMV is a really good market for us. So we're always in and out of DC or Nova. So I'm actually there next week, doing some really cool things as well. And yeah, just traveling a lot with beer, and yeah, really growing Rupee into new markets, different verticals, and yeah, in the in the spirit of beer, also trying to have some fun with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I think it's interesting. You say you do well, like within that specific demographic. Do you think that this is a weird question for me because we're in Yorktown, which
Hampton Roads area.
Hampton Roads
like
area,
southern coastal.
There's some good food, but there's not a whole lot of great Indian food choices.
There's really not a lot of eclectic food out here.
Correct.
At all.
So
and it's the saddest thing I've ever experienced.
Doing well in that area, do you think that the beer is suited well to follow the food culture and where it's available and where it's readily available?
Well, I can talk a little about the journey afterwards, but from initially where we started, obviously for us, and in case you don't know, my parents, my co-founder, who's my brother, we have been in the Indian restaurant business, and my parents specifically, for almost half a century. So in Europe and the United States, in Indian restaurants, when my friends growing up, their parents were doctors or lawyers or in sales, owned Indian restaurants. So it was I never really understood how I could talk to my friends and what their cool parents were doing and all those interesting things. My world was a little bit different. I was like, hey, I know some samosas or chicken tikka masala or different things helping out. But in that world, in that sense, initially wanted to create a beer for specifically that category. Yeah. As you mentioned, actually recently we were named by Hop Culture best beer for world food. So it goes beyond literally just Indian. If you're having Mexican, if you're having Middle Eastern, Thai, Chinese, it's a really great beer, especially with our first SKU that we came up with, this lager. For just robust food in general. It can be easy. It's an easy drinking beer, very clean, refreshing, light. And for us also, I think it speaks to the volume of the type of beer drinker we are as well. And that, when we are having a lot of Indian food growing up, you do want something super clean, refreshing, light, that isn't going to overcomplicate things and also isn't going to, prohibit the digestion in terms of some of the worst things you can do when you are having something really spicy or robust is take a super gassy beer and pair those two things together. So we worked with our brewers to really lower the levels of carbonation and really make sure we made a very clean, crisp, and easy to drink beer that isn't going to be super gassy.
Yeah, and I'm really interested because in the process of doing a little research on you guys, that was one of the things that stuck out to me. Like, hey, we messed around with the carbonation levels on this beer because if you're already eating something that's heavily spiced or different, and now all of a sudden you're having this high carbonation beer, like that's going to mess with your digestive tract, which is a weird standpoint to start a beer with.
Yeah, but in your 30s, that's important.
That's real important.
I imagine it only gets worse.
100%. No one wants to be burping if they're out on a Friday or a Saturday night. And maybe they went to an Indian restaurant before and then they're going out to a club or a bar afterwards. So we really wanted to keep those things in mind. And being from the restaurant business and specifically Indian restaurant category, we knew those were the types of problems we wanted to solve.
Yeah, I dig that. I think that's such a crazy approach that you don't hear much of from the beer world. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, how do we pair beer well with food? Not we make a good beer and there's good food, but how do I make a beer that's good with food, period, across the board? I think that's really interesting.
Also, another interesting fact, when you're having something super spicy, we recently sponsored a really cool festival in Boston, the Boston Hot Sauce Festival. Tons of great hot sauce vendors, right? If you love spicy food. Yeah. But one of the worst absolute things you can do is if your tongue is on fire, is take a super carbonated beverage to your tongue. It's actually going to irritate your tongue even more. So that's why when you're having spicy food, don't drink something highly carbonated. The lower the levels of carbonation, the better. So there's actually a lot of science in the brewing process as well that not many people know about. But we definitely looked at that since I think we were trying to create the ultimate product that we drink at home or our dad would drink or whoever would drink if you're having Indian food on a regular basis.
Well, I think that's really interesting because all the brewers we talk to and like all the people that make beer with some regularity, it's funny because everyone is always trying to make the beer they drink at home. But the beer they drink at home comes from a different place. So I think your story is really interesting. Like every brewer I talk to, like, why do you want to drink this beer at home? And because it comes from some point of either nostalgia or how they were raised or where they were raised. And that changes the beer that everybody wants to drink at home and makes it completely interesting in its own right, which 100%. Is yeah. The beer world's good for that.
I'm actually in coastal Virginia next week for an event.
Where?
It's at an Indian restaurant. I believe it's called Rajput or something. I'm pretty sure they have like a couple locations. I can send you the details afterwards, but
yeah, please do.
We're doing an event with Yelp. So it will be, it will be like a local Indian restaurant in coastal Virginia. I still have to book my travel. I got to figure out how I'm going to get there.
Yelp, it's the Untapped of restaurants.
The Untapped of restaurants. 1 out of 5 stars. Don't like Indian food. Why did you eat there then?
Yeah, why did you go in the first place, man? There's a Subway next door. That's funny.
I love it. Well, Van, I'm really excited that you got to be here tonight, and I want to make sure that we keep true to your time frame. So we're going to jump into technically what we call history and facts, but it's really... So if you're unfamiliar with this show, like Phil is apparently...
Hey, you said the word, it goes up the second you say it. You know the rules.
Understood. So this is the portion we call history and facts, which is really just borderline trivia. So if you're logged into YouTube or if you're on Facebook, you can comment along with us. Make sure that you give us your answers. Phil's also set up the poll like he does every week now, so you can guess on the poll as well if that's easier. But tonight we are doing history and facts on Rupee Beer from Rupee Brewing, which I'm very excited about.
I am excited.
Me too.
I am really bummed I did not get Indian food.
Yeah, I'm really bummed you didn't either.
Yeah, it should be, because mine's nice and spicy over here, and it's making it real easy to do.
I have kimchi in the fridge.
That doesn't count.
That is.
That doesn't
All right, should we get into question 1?
All right, yeah, let's do question 1. And obviously, we're going to have Van. I'm going to defer to Van on a lot of these answers, even though I know the answer forwards and backwards, but I'm going to give you a chance to answer honestly. So Van Sharma graduated from Northeastern University with a degree in what? Political science, international relations, engineering, or all of the above?
God, I hope it's all of the above.
Which is crazy. So we're going to give everybody in the comment section a chance to guess. Phil and Tiffany also don't know the answers to these questions. So I put trivia together. So
I'm going to go with all of the above. And the only reason why is because that's freaking rad. As someone who struggled through my bachelor's, but then eventually got like a master's, like I know the struggle of just school sucks, man. But here I am, like maybe I'll get a PhD. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, and I hope that you are too. That's all.
Phil, what do you think?
I'm a big fan of getting a degree in all 3 of these and then making beer. There's just something really funny about that. To me, but I am going to stick to where I normally go with this question and assume it's engineering, because I feel like beer people are always coming from the engineering world.
God, I set you guys up so well.
Uh-oh.
God, I set you guys up so well. Vero's on it, but I set you guys up so well. All right, Van, what do you actually have a degree in?
Yeah, so actually, interesting points. I love hearing all the different thought processes there. Engineering, Indians are really good at engineering schools and engineering degrees. I, however, wasn't. So that was, even though I'm Indian, brown, math and science, not really my thing. Yeah, so don't come to me for your taxes or anything along those lines. I have to find someone to do those things for us. That would be weird. Actually, so point A and B, those are probably more in line with where I'm at. So undergraduate is actually in political science, and my master's was international relations. So especially if you're from the DMV or in the DC area, a lot of people in that area of the world, I feel like usually major in those types of things as well, since it's highly governmental. So yeah, it's A and B.
Yeah, and I dig that. So I threw the engineering one into this conversation because all the brewers we have on are the owners or people who are working with a similar like brand recognition that yours is. all of them are engineers somehow.
Yeah.
I think you're the first one who's not an engineer.
I'd say at least 70% of people we talk to have some form of engineering. It might be like mechanical, or it might be like aerospace, but some form of engineering is usually part of their background.
I wanted to be a diplomat. That was my goal. So I
thought yours was interesting because you like got your undergraduate specifically, and then you went back as well, correct?
Yeah, so I never really knew what I wanted to do, but I've always liked business as well. But in school, the one thing I actually loved was like social studies. So, and more specifically, keeping up with current affairs in the news, watching the news, world politics. I came from a pretty international family as well, so those types of things are really interesting, and I just love seeing current affairs, policy, etc. So I was like, you know what, let's do this. Like international relations, those classes are actually fun to go to, and I like talking about what's happening in the world, etc. So I was on track to be a diplomat, and then ended up doing something completely different. And now I'm in craft beer. So, but I will say, just like you're selling the intentions of a country and best interests of a country, if it's India, whatever it is, in beer, I'm also in some small way trying to do that same sort of aspect where beer diplomacy, right? So solely trying to show people that, Indians drink beer. And a lot of people often, one question I get all the time is, do they even drink beer in India? I thought that they don't drink over there. And India is now the third largest beer country in the world. And it surpassed China this year in terms of population. And it's really interesting. I think there's a huge craft brewing culture that's been brewing in South Asia for the past decade. And there's one city specifically called Bangalore in India, which has like 70 plus microbreweries, including the largest microbrewery in the world. So I definitely want to, make it a mission to educate people to, hey, like, listen, like there's some really cool craft brands coming out of Asia right now that you should definitely check out. But also it's a cool kind of tie to diplomacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that was interesting about your story is the diplomacy through beer aspect end of things. Because I do think it is somewhat of a universal language. Like, do you like beer? Like, everybody drinks beer. Whether you know they do or you don't know they do, everybody drinks beer. Like, how do we, like...
And if you don't, you should.
If you don't, you should. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
But I also love that you've only dealt with my, like, indirect family. Indians don't drink beer. Like, good Lord. Welcome to, like, lower portion of Virginia, sir, and I apologize for everything that's ever happened here.
I grew up in Maine as well, so
never mind. I'm preaching to the choir.
Is Gabriel here? Gabriel lives in Maine.
Nice. And I'm from the cosmopolitan part of Maine, which is Portland, which is like only 80,000 people, probably 85,000 people. So but in terms of yeah, you're right. It's cool. I think it's I kind of put a little mission in my head to make sure that wake up every day, and also if you can do something good for your community and for amplifying the rise of India through beer, that's it kind of makes it all worth what I studied, I guess, right?
Yeah, so absolutely.
Tie into kind of what you did in a very different way.
Yeah, definitely.
Vero would like you to know that she's not crazy.
That's fine.
She's fine. Just come to the UN and have a beer with her. Nothing. It's
not the word diplomat.
It's not important.
All over it.
So Vero,
Portland in the house.
Vero is like on our team from the back end of the show, so she does a lot of like help that you don't necessarily see on the show every week. And she does work at the UN. So she is in New York. So she's
very cool.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I'm in Union Square right now, so I gotta see. My math is bad, and I can't even figure out how many blocks away we are from the UN. So.
It's 170. That's a safe bet in New York anytime. All right,
too far.
Let's get into question 2. I don't want to keep Van too long.
You're not near a stop. Can't go.
This is question 3, actually.
What?
Right?
No, this is question 2, Phil. How much Indian food did you have?
I'm telling you, the spicy Indian food's
making a little plush.
Yeah, I know.
See, look, I was close, man. You're 35 blocks away. I was only 100 off.
We had to make this one smaller because Daniel writes really long.
Yeah, we had to make this one smaller because I like long questions. But Alan Pugsley, who's the founder of Shipyard Brewing, and if you don't know Shipyard Brewing, look it up, developed this beer we're having tonight alongside with Van. Alan's known as the Johnny Appleseed of craft brewing because Alan has been involved in the launch of how many beer brands? 35, 60, 80, or 120. And again, when we talk about beer brands, not a beer specifically, like a whole brewery, a whole brand, a whole conception of a beer,
80.
start to finish. You're going 80.
Yes.
That seems crazy high.
Yeah, that does
I'm
feel
sure
very high to me.
Yeah, it feels very high.
But I feel like the question has to be at least a high enough number to make it interesting. Even 35 is high enough.
Yeah, 35 is a high fucking number to be involved in a business.
But then that's your lowest of the highs. So I don't know if you're playing a game with me here.
I'm always playing a game with you, Phil.
It's almost like it's a game of trivia. I'm gonna go with 60 on this one. Yeah. I mean, if you're called the Johnny Appleseed of craft brewing, I kind of feel like you
gotta have at least more than 35.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tiffany, you said 80.
Mm-hmm.
Phil said 60.
Vero said 80.
Vero's always right. Why don't you go with Vero?
I did, and then she put her answer in, so I was first. Vero copied me.
Oh, I apologize. Vero actually said 35 blocks away. That is not correct.
I'm also looking forward to hearing how this even all happened. So let's
Andrew hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
sure.
Andrew hit the nail on the head. But this is an interesting question because I do know the name Alan Pugsley and I know Shipyard Brewing, and I didn't realize you guys were involved in any capacity, which is a lot of fun because he is involved in a lot of things. So the answer is 80 plus currently. That could go up next year.
We should contact him and be like, we're not a brewery, but
so how
what
does
was
this
that
connection happen? Yeah.
Yeah. How do you link up with Alan Pugsley is a crazy question to me.
Yeah, no, totally. When I came back, I actually used to live in England for a decade in London. And when I came back during the pandemic, Sumit, my brother and my co-founder, also was coming back from Australia. And this idea for beer had really been put in our heads many years ago in the 90s, but we never acted on it. Essentially, we were like, let's do it. It's the world is changing. What's going on? And also, more importantly, Indian beer wasn't coming to Maine anymore. So because of the pandemic, there was a massive global supply chain and it was a disruption, right? So many even European brands just weren't sending or shipping beer to the United States because of COVID. So we noticed a really interesting problem that we wanted to solve, especially being from the Indian restaurant business and our family's business, that these legacy brands like Kingfisher, Taj Mahal, just weren't available anymore in the United States for a period of time. So we were like, we have to do something and let's execute. So we knew that we weren't brewers. We didn't go to university for that. We didn't know how to brew at home. We'd watched lots of videos and had lots of knowledge on beer. We love drinking beer, a huge appreciation for craft beer in general. So we looked around and we started looking in places like Europe, the Middle East, Asia, sorry, not the Middle East, but Asia, Europe, Canada, and different places, and randomly found a link on Google to Alan Pugsley. And from there, we were like, whoa, this is interesting. And then the fact that he was British was really more interesting to me. So I gave him a call, and he literally lived down the road from my parents' house in Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
And literally one thing led to another, and we just stopped interviewing people in other parts of the world, and it just felt right. And I always say what Indian food is to America, what a Mexican food is to America, Indian food is to the UK. So him being British, he totally understood what we were trying to do with this concept of UK curry culture, really trying to find a pint of beer to pair with a good curry that you can have at your local. In England, the national dish is chicken tikka masala.
Yes.
So he totally understood this concept of what we were trying to do. And I was like, this makes sense. And the fact that he also had so much experience launching and being really instrumental in the craft beer revival in New England with some really cool, interesting brands, that obviously made a lot of sense. So we teamed up with him, and yeah, one thing led to another, and it just happened super quickly. And he's been instrumental in really mentoring us, but also giving us really great advice on specific recipes, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And with him, actually, in a few weeks, we're launching our second SKU, second product coming to life. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. And then in August, we're launching an IPA as well. So we're really excited to introduce some really new products to really help further the Rupee brand through his reach. And yeah, 80 plus brands and growing.
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
That's insane.
So this is not within trivia, and I'll ask you real quickly, but who are you guys? I assume you're contract brewing, so you're brewing with somebody, like you're borrowing space.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're from like a lot of brands, specifically in the craft world. They did start off in the sort of contract brewing space. So we're contract brewing right now, and never know where things can go. Things can change all the time. But right now, as we build out a brand, I think initially, since we were one SKU with a lager, it made sense to specifically not wanting to invest as much overhead in opening a brewery is expensive, right, for a lot of people. So it takes a lot of resource and time. So from that, I'm grateful. About a year and a half in, the journey is changing every day. And contract brewing still.
Yep, fair enough. And we talk to a lot of brewers on here that are contract brewing for whatever reason, whether it's because we have a single SKU or we have 20 SKUs, but we still don't have the investment. So yeah, good on you.
Also a great model. I think for breweries as well, they equally benefit. There's a lot of excess capacity that breweries are not brewing for. 100%. So it's a really good business. If I had a brewery and being entrepreneurial, I would totally do something similar where it definitely allows brewers and breweries to rent out space to make some extra income to make ends meet.
It's basically a landlord. I'm going to rent out 10 barrels.
Exactly.
You can live in my 10 barrels for X amount of dollars a month and do whatever you want to do.
They're about the size of a New York City apartment.
Exactly. Speaking of Union Square. All right. So we're going into question number 3, which is my
we should share one so we can try one.
Favorite portion of the night, because we're going to crack the beer so that we can have a decent amount of it before we review it. So again, tonight we're having Rupee Beer from Rupee Brewing, and Van was wonderful enough to be here with us tonight, and I really appreciate that. But let's get into question 3. Oh, okay, I got it.
I'm just excited to have this because my mouth's on fire over here. I'm sitting here waiting to have it.
Feels like shut up and get to the beer.
Hopefully they're super cold.
Right. So, true or false? Nice 50-50 question for everybody involved. Rupee is brewed using rice, maize, malted barley, yeast, and 2 different types of hops. True and or false. And if you've seen this show and if you go to our merch store, you know we have a true false shirt because there's always trickery involved. So good luck.
I assume it doesn't have something like maize in it, but the rest is true.
So you're going with false. That's your final answer. I mean, Van is here.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to go with false.
Okay.
I think there's too many things here that you've written out.
Okay. This is my favorite. Even Vero said true. False.
Yeah, and she's saying it's got more hops than that.
False.
So
one hop this
See,
time.
I was like, there's something different with it.
All right.
What do you got, Phil?
I'm just gonna go false with Vero now that I've seen it because
it does say it on the can. Never mind.
That's a can art test.
I was only looking at the Indian food part.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So Van, obviously the answer is false.
Correct. Yeah. So we're actually using 3 types of hops, not 2. So in that recipe, you'll also notice that we're using a certain level of rice. And for a lot of you that perhaps have had Japanese beers or some really interesting beers as well, you'll definitely notice that in Asia, the grain of choice and format traditionally in brewing has been rice. And incorporating rice, since it's so readily available across Asia. In India, it's ridiculously available. My grandparents, my dad grew up on a farm in India. So my grandpa actually used to experiment with brewing his own alcohol as well. So rice is very much a huge format in the Indian process of brewing. And you'll notice a lot of craft breweries playing around with that as well. And also it gives you a nice herbal sort of tasting note to it as well, where it's a really good sort of smooth taste to the beer.
That's one of my favorite things with what people normally consider rice lagers, whether they're rice lagers or not. If they have rice in them in any capacity, it's always a really clean, smooth, and I think that helps with some of the carbonation. Even if you don't mess with the carbonation, it's already smoother, even if the carbonation levels are the same if you brewed it with rice or maize compared to your traditional lagers.
100.
Decision to only open one.
Very cool. All right. Let's get into this next one because I think we may have already kind of answered this if it's where you're thinking you want to go.
It's one of my favorites.
We already did that
Hold
one.
on,
We did
this
that
one.
There you go.
All right. So Rupee Beer is currently looking to expand their brand to what area? Germany, England, Australia, or Ireland?
England.
Yeah, I'm going England on this one just because I think that's where you want to be based off what you said earlier.
I mean,
It's a huge market. Yeah.
again, normally I set these questions up to build on the guest. So I don't know how to help you people anymore.
So Van, is that true? And then tell us, like, how do you currently look like? Even where do you look to try to expand into somewhere else if England is not the place?
Yeah, so England is answer B would be correct. As mentioned before, it makes sense. England is a huge market. It's extremely densely populated. I think more Indian restaurants per square capita than outside of India itself. So as mentioned, huge appetite and awareness for Indian food and culture. Local Brits, for them, they grow up loving chicken tikka masala. I was born in England. I lived in England for a long time. You go down the grocery aisle and literally a whole aisle just devoted to Indian products in mainstream Britain, in mainstream London. So there's a lot more. Like I said before, I really like this analogy. What Mexican food is to America, Indian food is to the UK. So England's terrible with Mexican food. I never found any good Mexican options in England, but they can make a good curry, and vice versa here. Just like you go to California or Texas, you're going to find some really bomb, authentic style Mexican food.
Yeah.
So I think it also just plays into immigration, huge Latin American influence in the United States. The immigration of choice in England has been Indians, right? South Asians, just because it was a colony for almost 300 years. So a lot of Indians ended up there. I was born there. So that's kind of the format. But England, we had our trademark approved for the European Union as well. So right now, all those things are being planted right now. And yeah, it's a process. Launching in a new market it's a whole nother operation and operating company. So we're slowly laying the foundations. But we get lots of direct demand from people in London and Birmingham and Manchester all the time saying, is this available at my local grocery store or Indian curry house? So we've been saving all those leads and hoping to be, we want to go to Britain and maybe get, the king and the queen some chicken tikka masala and Rupee Beer.
See, I love that. The answer is yes, please do.
Yeah.
We're gonna. Oh,
it might be in Baja, California. We're not sure.
No, so
Sorry, that's a long-standing joke on the show.
Gabriel was saying that Mexican food isn't great in all the places. So I'm from California. I agree that it's like the best place to get Mexican food.
Mexico is the best place to get Mexican food, for the record.
Without a passport.
But what an American you are.
But, I grew up in New England, so I'm up there by Maine as well.
Yeah. Okay, lobster.
Terrible Mexican food there as well.
Yeah, Virginia, at least right where we are.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty rough. And they make their own weird white sauce. It's only within like 20
Don't
miles
talk about the
of
white
us.
sauce, man.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's like ranch.
That shit's amazing.
It's like ranch.
All right,
Mexican and Indian food also share in common. I feel like there's just so much huge, dense flavor profile in both of those types of food.
Yep.
So I feel like, if anything, I could see why in England, Indian food became like an exotic thing. And same in the States, like Mexican food is considered like, hey, if I don't want pasta or something else, Mexican is like, it's like a go-to staple. And now you see taco trucks everywhere, Chipotle's everywhere. So I feel like that's like both cuisines share a lot of overlap because they have really good, rich flavor profiles.
That's interesting.
Very cool. Then we're going to skip this last one just to keep moving, but we'll talk about it because I know Dave has been asking in the question in the chat all about being in Chicago. Yes. So I assume you're not in Illinois, but how many states are you currently in?
We're in about 13 states right now. In Illinois, we are working with legal right now. So that is in the process. One thing about beer, in case people don't know about it on this side, things take a little bit of time. It's a highly regulated industry. So I've learned, not being from the beer business. So things take a little bit more time than I'm used to, having worked in other industries. So yeah, we're slowly launching in more markets, and Chicago's or Illinois in general will be something this summer.
Oh,
cool.
That's amazing.
You'll have to be on the Beer in Front podcast, which is where we know Dave from.
Yeah,
nice. Actually, I know him as well. I think he's reshared some stuff on Twitter before. So
probably.
Jackpot. I love it. So, Van, I want to ask you two things. One, it's an amazing brand that you built already, but A, like, what is the next step? And B, where do you see the brand going for you? Like, because it's not just about beer to you, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
It's more about, like, the culture you were raised in, the family you know, and bringing a beer to that culture. So, where do you see the brand going, and what's the next big step for you?
Yeah, I feel like back to the diplomacy thing. I feel like when I was in Maine and growing up, I always had to be a representative for being Indian in Maine. I was I was the only kid, Indian kid in school until my brother came to school. So I feel like I always had to stick up for the culture and for the country, and not even by anything. I just felt like I had to, and then I ended up doing, going on a track to wanting to be a diplomat. So same with beer. Right now, it's more than just beer. We definitely, obviously, are creating 2 more SKUs coming out to create a brand. So we're not just a 1 SKU brand. And we have options. But I think for that, it's for us, executing the mission to go larger, to more markets. We want more people to know that Indian food is also approachable, that you shouldn't be scared of it. Dive in. If you've never had Indian food, please go to your local Indian restaurant and have some. So for us also, we really want to make sure that we're able to, especially in the United States, get more people trying different types of, cuisine. DC also has an amazing Ethiopian food scene. This beer pairs very well with Ethiopian flavors. Asian, Thai, Mexican, you name it, Middle Eastern. I think I hadn't really seen this sort of concept before. So for us, it's I think it's we want to do a bunch of things, do some good as well, and also make impact in whatever way we can.
I love that. And if you're unfamiliar with this beer brand, you guys are in Costco, you're in Trader Joe's, where can people find you?
Yeah, so we're in select Costco's, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Total Wines, and tons of different types of ethnic restaurants. So we do really well in the Indian restaurant category. If you go for an Indian and you don't see us, ask the local owner to figure out where to get us through our distributor. But also we're in a few Mexican restaurants, Middle Eastern restaurants, Asian concepts, some bars, craft beer stores. So yeah, up and down. Our strong point right now is the East Coast. And as we expand, we'll be more readily available in other states, Midwest, and also making our way to California as well.
I love it. And I love your point of, if you go to a restaurant and they don't carry your beer and you know that beer, ask for it. Because that's just a distribution chain issue.
Yep.
If more people ask for that beer, the distribution chain will find it and they will bring it to you.
Yep.
Because that's their money and your money. And
beer is complex. And I mad respect for anyone operating in beer, because there's a lot of nuances that the average consumer that drinks the beer at a restaurant or bar never understands.
Yep.
There's a lot of back end with all this stuff.
A lot of back end. Yeah.
Well, Van, I want to thank you so much for being here, because I know you were back to back today, and I know you got to feed the meter, and you're at Union Square. There's a good chance you're gonna get robbed going down in the bar. I feel terrible for you for having to be on this show in the meantime. But if you haven't had a Rupee beer, or if you're not interested in Indian food, please find both. Find the beer, find the food, go give it a shot. Just like you said, it's approachable. It's a good place to be. Yeah. Go try it.
And it's an easy to drink beer. So I get tons of feedback from friends and family members, and even my mom, who for her poison of choice is usually a mango margarita. For her also, it's hey, I don't like beer, but it's a very clean, easy to drink beer. It's smooth, it's light, it's refreshing. Mm-hmm. And I could see on a hot summer day why your dad would love drinking this. So it's also a very just, not even with food, it's a standalone beer as well. If you don't like to overcomplicate things, it's an easy, really chill beer.
Having this as a standalone, we have one more that I'm we are going to try this with Indian food.
Yeah.
But as a standalone beer, it's holding its own anyway. So I can only imagine it paired with, a spicier food group. So
I have to say, having sat here eating my butter chicken, my spicy butter chicken, you were absolutely right. I mean, this just is going so perfectly with it. It's a little cooling while you eat the spicy. It's just perfect. It really is.
So I see a little sweat on the forehead.
Hopefully. Yeah. Well, I also live in the Caribbean. So.
Oh, that's normal. Yeah, that's normal for Phil. He's very nervous to be here.
Nice. Well, I want to say thank you so much. I actually do have to go.
Please do.
I don't want budget enterprise, whatever my ticket for my rental was, to give me a ticket, and it's a whole process.
You're gonna get arrested. Dan,
Good luck,
thank
man.
you so much.
Thank you so
Honestly,
much.
pleasure.
Cheers.
We'll be in
Guys,
contact.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me. We're grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Enjoy, guys. Cheers.
Man, it's always I feel like we haven't had one in a while. We haven't had a guest in a while. It feels like.
Yeah, no, I was talking with Tiffany about that earlier. I was like, I feel like we actually haven't had a guest in a while because she was traveling, and then like you and Vero were gone, and I was like, I don't know who's gonna be in this goddamn show next week, but we're gonna find somebody.
No, I mean just guest wise too. It was
Oh,
just kind
that
of like
too.
it just
Yeah,
didn't
that too.
work out for like a litany of different people, like back to back to back to back.
You know what's crazy about this show though, is we did have a guest on, which means you know what we can do next. We can actually review this beer after. All right, so if you're unfamiliar with this show, we're going to review this beer. We're going to do it through Untapped. So it's our social drinking media app. It's 1 to 5 bottle caps, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And tonight we are
Drinking Rupee.
from
Rupee Brewing.
out of...
Nah,
he didn't pay any attention.
Massachusetts. Boston. Yeah, I had it right.
Yay!
Boston. Okay.
Yay!
I was
There
like,
you go.
Massachusetts. I think it's Boston.
All right. I'll go first because this one's really easy for me. This beer is fucking delicious.
It's
Yeah.
Even
amazing.
if I didn't have Indian food, which I did not tonight, the rice variation of it and the maize variation of it is right up my goddamn alley. It's super smooth. Again, it like edges the carbonation effect of it. You got to carb a beer a certain amount to make it work. So I don't know if the carbonation is actually less or if it's just the brewing process that makes it smoother. I think it's the rice, personally. I fucking love rice lagers. So I dig this beer. She a 4.5 for me. I don't even like Indian food. I'll drink this shit all day long.
Well, I freaking love Indian food, and I wish I had some. And I almost actually ordered some during the show because we were talking about it so much.
This is your review?
Yeah, we were talking about it so much. I almost ordered some during the show, so that's nice. But this, so we have 2 of these beers, and I like in the middle of the show. If you saw, like I
Yeah,
told
she
Daniel,
like
I
threatened
was
me
like,
with
do
life.
not
Oh, we
open
heard.
the second beer
Yeah. You guys are nice,
because
remember.
I want to try this with Indian food because it's phenomenal
I think
on
it
its
will.
own.
Yeah.
It's got a slight hint of sweetness and it is really smooth, but the where it hits you on the tongue with like the flavor profile is exactly where like it would be spicy as well. And so it's got all the right notes, and I don't know how they did that, or maybe this is just the first time I'm thinking about it.
It's Johnny Appleseed.
But yeah, Johnny Appleseed, he nailed it.
I don't know
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Daniel, 4.5. I freaking dig this, especially for a 4.75 lager.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, any fucking day.
Yeah. So I had it with Indian food.
Yeah.
Jealous. And because they write it on the can, I have to say I needed to make sure, and they absolutely nailed it. I never even really thought about the carbonation aspect of eating spicy foods, but I do always think whenever I'm having spicy food, I never really do know what beer to pair it with.
Yep.
Because sometimes it can kind of ruin the spiciness, or it can doesn't blend well. This just I don't know what it was, and I think Tiffany, when you mentioned the sweetness, that was the first hit I got after having. So I was like, my mouth is spicy. Drank this, it almost had like a sweet apple flavor. It was very strange.
Interesting.
But then it just kind of cooled off your mouth. I could have another bite. Got spicy again. Cool. It kind of did this weird. It just did everything you wanted it to do. And in the fact that it's not heavy, because Indian food can be.
Yes.
It really does pair well, and it's fascinating to me that I've never even thought about it. And he is totally hitting something I think that is much needed. So I'm going right there with you. I'm going 4.5 as well for this beer. I think it's really good. They're great. And it goes with the food that I'm eating. So
Vero has some notes.
The low carbonation is crazy.
It is weird.
Vero's mentioning here, because it doesn't taste flat, but it's not carbonated either. It's
Right.
like
It's just smooth. It almost tastes like nitro beers that are like really smooth.
Well, so again, the low carbonation aspect, I think you get that out of a lot of the corn-based beers or like rice-based beers, or like it almost takes away some of that carbonation to begin with, whether you're trying to or not. So a lot of your like Japanese rice lagers, like he was talking about, like they're very similar in the brewing process, and it does kind of curb some of that like bitter bite or beer flavor. Like now you just have a nice, smooth, easy drinking alcoholic beer at 4.5%.
Yeah, it's funny. It hits your mouth carbonated, and then goes, and then the carbonation disappears.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What's weird.
Yep.
You go to drink it, and you're like, oh, carbonation, and then once it's sitting in your mouth for a second, you're like, oh, nothing. There's no more carbonation.
Good Lord, I didn't realize you were Catholic. Okay. Oh, nobody?
Cool. So 4.5 from over here. We had a use case with actual Indian food and then a control group. It goes great either way.
Yeah.
Unless you're Catholic. All right.
All right. Let's get into this last portion of our show.
Oh, shit. You're right. All right, so this is the portion of the show where we take a second to reflect on what we wish was beer versus what it actually is, whether it's from the month, the day, the year, your entire childhood, if you're Gabriel. We'll figure it out together. So Tiffany came up with 2 last week, which means she has a reserve in the tank. So
Actually, I still have a reserve in the tank. I have another one from this week.
Okay.
So I got a under the desk treadmill, so while I'm in meetings, I can be walking. And
we live different lives.
Yeah, and then I realized that I would much rather just be outside walking while working. But that's not a thing. I can't really do that. I need to have my computer in front of me for notes at any point in time, even if it's like a listen only meeting. And I'm in meetings like back to back every day, which sucks. But I wish like work was beer in the sense that I wish I could work anywhere, because I can pretty much drink a beer anywhere. No one has ever stopped me because I just don't. I'm not an asshole like in public if I'm drinking a beer.
We've been to Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, we have been publicly in multiple locations and not been told no. And I'm hoping that this is not the end of a streak. Knock on wood. But yeah, I think as long as you're not an asshole and really apparently drinking, it's fine.
Yep. I'm good with
that. Yeah. So anyway, I can drink a beer everywhere, but I can't always work from everywhere, including this damn treadmill. If I'm going more than like 1.8 on the treadmill, I'm like, well, this is...
Suddenly I get a notification that I'm running from the wall.
Nope, that's not it. It's just very difficult
That's my ankle monitor.
To work. No. Get your feet... God, gross. You had your foot next to my face.
I just put foot internet, Daniel, on the internet.
Stop it.
The views just went up.
Actually, 2 people just left.
It's just Gabriel. He got uncomfortable. All right, what do you got, Phil? What do you wish was beer this week?
Oh, man. I was hoping you wouldn't hit me up next.
I'll go first. You're fine.
My brain has a few. I'm running.
Everything's
still spicy over here.
I got time. I actually just wish that Pride Month was beer because I've already started getting ads for Pride Month, whether it's a shirt, a beer, or whatever rainbow washing they're trying to pull off this year. I'd rather it just be beer. Just send me an ad on beer. I already drink beer. I'm a fan of beer. I can have beer anytime.
For the record, Daniel does not discriminate against the LGBTQIA plus community.
I don't think you heard the end of my conversation.
I just feel like we needed to caveat that real hard. So it sounded like you were from Florida for a second.
Okay. I'll let you have your wish you were a beer. I apologize. I was trying to make a point and you walked all over the end of it. So the end of it for me is I celebrate this year round. I don't need to be plugged a beer once a month, 2 months before the month you make all your money on. I like beer. I like people. Why don't we just do that year round? It's really easy. It's not rocket science. Thank you, though. Proud of you, California. All right, Phil, what do you got?
All right. So mine, I was debating whether or not to go into it, but to close friends of mine, it's not a funny one, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
Close friends of mine just recently lost someone.
Okay.
And talking to them all about it, I didn't really know the person that closely, so it's not a huge thing, but it's to hear their pain. And then, if it was beer, it's just like, I just want to have a beer with them right now, and I think I don't know if I wish anything was beer, but right now I just want to have a beer with them because, Daniel, you and I especially went through this sort of thing at one point together, and we know how incredibly hard it can be. So with that, I say, if I want to spin it all the way around to beer, I'd say contact your friends who maybe need a beer today.
That's a good
beer with them.
Yeah.
A lot of I think a lot of why we did this show, was to have a beer together, to always check in with each other. And I think it's a great thing. So right now, crack open a beer with that person who needs one.
Unless they're in AA, and then maybe
God
damn it, Phil.
Share a real nice cold bottle of water.
Have a cute bottle of water.
Yeah.
What do
Get some sparkling lemonade.
Just sparkling lemonade.
Treat yourself.
What are we doing next week? I assume you made a whole calendar for beer we're having next week.
It's on the website already. On the website.
If we had to guess.
I'm trying to remember which one it is. I want to say, Vera will correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it's the Chieftain.
That is wrong. That is not right. Hold on.
Is it not?
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
Hold on.
I'm going to the footage here.
Going to the website. I put it on the website, and I didn't even. It is right.
I just wanted Phil to doubt himself. Motherfucker.
So this one comes all the way from Ireland. I brought this one back from Ireland with me, sent it to you, and it's now in the Caribbean. It's an Irish pale ale. And I want to say we haven't had an Irish pale ale yet. I want to say.
No, I'm excited.
I'm intrigued at what an Irish pale ale technically is.
I mean, there's a difference between an Irish and an English
Well, you can't
red
say
ale.
a difference between an Irish and an English. That sounds bad.
Um,
Beer wise, yes, but not between
but no,
an
so
Irish and an
there's a difference
English.
between those two types of beer, and even then, like just the standard red ale can kind of be different than all of them as well. So I'm very interested to see how the Irish version of this comes out, and if it has similar notes to how the difference between the other two red ales is. Their Irish one is usually a little bit sweeter, or no, a little less sweet, more malty. Sorry.
We'll see.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for this one.
So that's what we're doing next week.
That is what we're doing next week.
Well, this is news.
For the record, Vero, there are two different types of red ales. I'm not just making stuff up or being racist.
This show started so strong.
God, we started at the bottom. Now we're at the top.
I think it's the other way around.
Oh, wait. No, wait. We started at the top. Now we're at the bottom.
I'm real
Daniel
tired.
knows a thing or two about tops and bottoms.
Oh, good Lord. Follow me on my Instagram. It's Wish You Were Beer Show.
Your only fan.
That's it. All right. So we're going to have a show next week. We're having a beer next week. What time does that come on? What day of the
8
week?
p.m. Eastern.
Somebody help me.
On Thursday.
All right. So we appreciate you watching tonight. And also thanks to Van over at Rupee Beer. Honestly, go find this beer. And it sounds like it is about to take over. So it's definitely a beer you'll be able to find soon. Go find it. So great that he came on here to talk to us all about this. Super happy I was able to get this one down here and have it and enjoy it. And join us next week. We're doing an Irish Pale Ale. And check out the website, buy some merch, support the show, follow us on social. Daniel's killing it on our TikTok. Go follow.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week at 8 p.m.
When I have to pee again.